He's getting old at all of 26. He once told me I was getting old. The reigning Finals MVP, he dropped 40, and he had that crafty little game winner. But LaMelo Ball, he had 36 points and the game-tying 3. If it weren't for Giannis, it would have been a little bit of a different story. Specifically last night, not the collection of the whole season, Perk. Who were you more impressed by?
You know how I feel about LaMelo Ball. I said it yesterday. He's box office. Oh, there go my camera. He's box office. But I was more impressed by Giannis. They was down double figures, and he dominated in every fashion. A 40-piece wing dinner, how you like your Cajun rub or whatever, right? 12 biscuits on the side, that means rebounds, and he dished out 9 sides of honey. And look, when you look at Giannis in the go-ahead basket at the end, driving to the paint, you know what that showed me? That showed me growth. Because last year, Giannis wouldn't have done that. You know why? Because he would have been afraid to go to the free throw line. So when I'm looking at Giannis right now and I'm watching him take over that Batman role, the role that I said Chris Middleton had because he was the closer, and I apologize to you, Giannis, because you're proving me wrong. Now Giannis Antetokounmpo has taken another step, which is dangerous for the NBA.
But see, I differ because of the expectation. This is the man that we saw in the championship game drop 50, so the expectation is gargantuan. I think LaMelo Ball really had the night, even though there was a loss, them being in playoff competition, not play-in competition. That's the type of team that he sort of built already in year 2. Career high, Perk, career high, 8 threes on the night, and that elite pro level game tying 3 that was incredible. So I'm looking at this game, I'm like, wow, this young man has arrived. It may not be as consistent as you would want it, especially from a top point guard, but the top point guard he's competing with is the best in the NBA, and that's what his talent sort of indicates. So I'm here for Giannis, but I think last night it showed us a lot about LaMelo as well.
Who got the win?
I mean, we know that.
So does this mean, Perk? Does this mean I know you had the shirt that had the Giannis and Chris the bat? Does this mean you need to flip flop and get one with Giannis as Batman?
Yeah, I need to get one reprinted.
Okay,
we'll
work on that.
It's okay.
We'll work on that. We'll work on getting one reprinted. So let's go to some numbers here. With the win, the Bucks improved to 10-0 this season with their big 3 in the lineup. They only played 2 of their first 14 games together, but they've won 8 in a row since Chris Middleton returned after testing positive for COVID. So Chiney, how dangerous is this team with their big 3 intact? Look at that number.
Look, they can easily, and I say easily given the circumstances that we're seeing currently, not forecasting that those change and people get healthier, but like right now you look at them and they could win a title based with that, with that big 3. And
they did.
Yeah, and they did, and that's exactly, they can pick up exactly where they left off. I just like their identity on both ends. I know getting Boogie Cousins was important, especially with, maintaining that interior presence, both offensively and defensively, getting rebounds. But, Giannis is a defensive-minded player. Jrue Holiday is a defensive-minded player. They have a whole team that is pretty much two-way, and I love that. And, just to keep going at you, Perk, Jrue Holiday, LaMelo Ball, that was a tough matchup, and he had 36 career high. So that's also a little different night. But overall, this Bucks team, they were my favorites going into the year because you have no problems when you think about them, while there are problems surrounding a lot of teams in the NBA.
But Perk, are they the favorites in the East for you right now?
They are the favorites in the East, especially with no Kyrie Irving for the Brooklyn Nets. When you look at what Giannis is doing, okay? Look, I know right now I have Steph Curry as the front runner, and right now it fluctuates throughout the season about who's the best player in the NBA. But Giannis Antetokounmpo still has something to say about that. And when you look at the additions of a guy like Grayson Allen, and you look at the other guys that have had the experience of going through it, like the Phoenix Suns, but have won it, right? You look at Jrue Holiday. You just mentioned Jrue Holiday. Think about this. Not only was Jrue Holiday a huge piece for the Bucks, but he turned around Team USA when he arrived. When he arrived, he arguably was the second best player on that team behind Kevin Durant. So right now, today, I'm picking the Milwaukee Bucks as the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. They're only 2 games behind the Brooklyn Nets for the #1 spot.
Well, as we talk about Milwaukee, we also need to talk about DeMarcus Cousins. Before we really dive into that, I do want to talk about today's news, another big Bucks man with Zach Lowe. So the Bucks say that Brook Lopez had back surgery and is out indefinitely. So I want to bring in Zach Lowe here if I could. Zach, I am curious. Is that something that the Bucks think is going to end his season?
Fix your face.
There's optimism around the situation. This is what I'll say. There's optimism around the situation that Brook Lopez will be able to return in the regular season before the playoffs. Obviously, you never know with back injuries. We've seen Serge Ibaka's back injury linger a long time, but right now there's optimism around the situation that Lopez could come back before the playoffs, and that's big because I agree with Perk and Shanae. Right now, they're the favorites to come out of the East, depending on what happens with Kyrie. I might even argue they're the favorites to win the championship, period, given that Golden State and Phoenix are going to have to play each other if they get to each other in the Western Conference. But to do that, and Perk knows this, to win 4 playoff series, you need every ingredient on your team. Sure, there are going to be series where maybe Brook Lopez isn't an ideal matchup for the other team, but they're going to be series where he's perfect. They need his rim protection and his size. You need everyone to win the whole thing.
Absolutely, and this has been something that's been lingering for Brook Lopez, right? Even before he's been out since he played in that first opening game, and that was it this year. But even before that, right, when you looked at him on the sidelines, even in the playoffs in years past, you saw him with the protective gear around his back, icing it, putting heat on it in timeout. So hopefully this is the thing that makes it so that is no more and they can keep rolling, because the Bucks are rolling. And after the Bucks rolled last night, Giannis tweeted that was fun. He said, "Let's boogie." And as I mentioned earlier, Boogie made his debut with the Bucks. So Perk, you're a fellow big man. What does DeMarcus Cousins bring to this team, especially without Brook Lopez?
Hold on, Malika, before I answer your question. Zach Lowe got a new haircut. Did you see that? I see Zach with the little bootsy fade. I see you shining right now.
Goodness.
But look.
There it is.
Yeah, that's the little bootsy fade. Zach, if you don't know who little bootsy is,
He's
Google
like,
him.
he's like, carry on.
He's looking sharp.
He's like, carry on.
But listen, let me tell you, DeMarcus Cousins, especially with Brook Lopez being out, you know what he provides? He provides another big that they can throw down low and get a bucket. He gives Giannis rest because Giannis has been playing the 5. But the great part about it is that you could play the 2 together. You know why? Because Boogie can shoot the tray ball.
Yes, sir.
And so now you can have spaces like they use Brook Lopez, space Boogie out to the 3-point line, have Giannis in the pick and roll, dive into the basket, and now you still have the space. Look at Boogie in that deep corner. Yakum, that's what you call it. Yakum, knocking down threes. I love it. He getting another chance. Teams have been disrespecting him, another opportunity. I think Boogie is going to embrace this.
I think that he looked like when that conversation with Giannis, he already was trying to figure out, all right, what's my role going to be? Because we see this with some vets, right? Joining these championship caliber teams and wanting to sort of figure out the next step of their career there. So it's going to be exciting to see the way that unfolds. But we do have more breaking news this morning. We got a lot going on today, Perk. So breaking news out of New Orleans this morning. It was a little bit of a surprise. It involves Zion Williamson. He's been out the entire season after off-season foot surgery, but he'd returned to doing on-court drills, remember, but then he suffered a setback earlier today. So I want to go live to the Pelicans practice facility, if we could, in Metairie, New Orleans. We're joined by our reporter, Andrew Lopez. Andrew, you dropped the Zion news in a tweet that shook our newsroom this morning. So what's the latest on Zion's status?
Right now, Zion is experiencing soreness in that surgically repaired right foot. He had ramped up his work to do 4-on-4 full court drills. Sometime in the last few days, he reported experiencing soreness. It wasn't any sharp pains. It was just next morning soreness. He had it checked out last night by the team doctor before their game against Dallas. And they are going to dial him back a little bit. So he was supposed to return to practice today. Instead of doing 4-on-4 work, now he's going to go back, do a little bit of low impact work, and then work his way back up if he can get through this weekend without experiencing any soreness again.
So he's still going to be on the court, just potentially doing a little bit less work than he had been doing. So this is the $1 million question, Andrew Lopez. When do we get to see him on the court?
That is still a very good question that I don't have an answer to, and I don't think they have an answer to quite yet. Obviously, the practice was supposed to be part of his ramp up. They were going to try to get a few practices in before he does that. With the delay, he's going back to one-on-none probably. Then once they get by next week, they can start to probably slowly ramp him up to get back. So we could still be a few weeks away from a Zion debut.
Still a few weeks away. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. I know you have a flight to catch to Dallas where the Pelicans are playing tomorrow night, so I appreciate you taking that time before you have to run off to the airport.
Thank goodness for pre-check.
Absolutely. Amen. All right, this setback is just the latest in the Zion Williamson saga in New Orleans. Remember, the last time he played, it was May the 4th. And then over the summer, he underwent surgery to repair a fractured right foot. And then last week, the team announced he was cleared to participate fully in team activities. And then Andrew's news from today about him not practicing after experiencing some soreness, and that's delaying his return. Once again, Lopez is reporting for potentially several weeks. So we have so much to cover on NBA Today. Bam Adebayo is out 4 to 6 weeks for the Heat. We will. But we also have Zach Lowe, who will discuss the impact of his loss. And then most teams through a quarter of the schedule now. So we're going to hand out some quarter season awards.
Okay.
Plus, after a packed 9-game slate, we'll take you through the top of the top plays, including, did you see that Trae Young ankle breaker? Stick around.
It's getting cold outside.
Bird, chilly. And now you see her face. I'd like to welcome in Ramona Shelburne, and you are all plugged in on all things 76ers. So I want to know, Ramona, do you sense any worry from a Sixers organization that now sits at 11th in the East?
Well, this is not where they want to be, but there's not a panic in the sense of, well, let's go make moves, because they just got Joel Embiid back, okay? And while he was out, Tyrese Maxey, he was on the come up, right? Mm-hmm. He was playing really well. The offense was running through Maxey. Yep. He had a couple of 30-point games. He was actually nominated for Eastern Conference Player of the Month in the last month. He had a really good month there, but now you have to play through Joel Embiid, and that is a completely different action. It's a completely different way of running the offense. But the fundamental issue is Joel Embiid is not shooting well, 40% from the floor. That's terrible for him. And they're not getting him the ball in places where he likes the ball. So some of this is he's had a little adjustment to the new ball that's being used this year. Some of this is his hand was hurting yesterday after Enes Kanter Freedom slapped his hand. But I was told that after the game he had it evaluated by the team docs. There wasn't even a need for imaging. He's fine. This is just Joel Embiid has not found a rhythm offensively. And some of that is the Sixers need to get him the ball in the spots where he is one of the best players offensively in this game.
Yeah, when you mentioned Tyrese Maxey, when I was speaking to Doc Rivers the other day, he said one of the great joys of him coaching this year is watching Tyrese Maxey take that next step to actually go into huddles and say, hey, I have an idea, coach, this is what we should drop and play, because last season he wasn't doing that. Right. But that chemistry takes time. So, Chiney, if you could please put on your doctor hat and tell me how to stop the bleeding, that would be lovely. Dr. Agumake.
Yes, less is more. Sometimes less is more. And, your best chance at winning is having Joel Embiid be great. And I do agree, it is a rhythm thing. I know what it's like to try to jump in the middle of a season when you're dealing with nicks and knacks and have to go out there and play. It's not so easy, but make life easy for him. I think being intentional, we don't know what happened in the last play and the last timeout, but the idea is like, let's look for him, and if not, make a play, right? And I think that's where those things sometimes linger in this organization. One problem can cascade to the next. So I would just simplify. You have a lot of role players stepping up during this time. Keep those guys confident. But right now, less is more for Philly. And just getting back to the basics of basketball, that's the most important thing.
Be the big man.
But they had the look, Perk.
They had the look, but here's the thing. Yeah. What we have to realize is this, right? During that last possession, you have to give a lot of credit to the Boston Celtics. Robert Williams on the ball with his activity and his length and his athleticism. And Al Horford did a great job on Tobias Harris for his pressuring him, so that pass couldn't be that easy into the paint. It looks easy, but it's not. But then again, when I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, one, when Joel Embiid was out, we have to remember they were missing Seth Curry at times. They were missing Danny Green at times. They were missing Tobias Harris at times. So for them to even be in this situation where they at right now, I say they're in a great spot. And then also, one more reminder. Joel Embiid is coming off of having COVID.
Yeah, it's tough.
And we watched multiple players, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. We watched Jaylen Brown this season. He went in the Garden and dropped 46. And then after that, he struggled, and he said that he has still those lingering feelings from the COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough. There was a lot of action around the NBA last night, so let's go coast to coast to get in on some of that action. Let's start with the Hawks, who, you guys, they've quietly won 8 of their last 9. And Trae Young has, get this, 5 straight 30-point games. It's the longest streak in the NBA this season, and it's tied for the longest of his career. So, Perk, can Can the Hawks get back to the East?
It's winter time. Ice Trey is in the building, and yes, they can get back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Behind Trey.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, he says. All right, so you know who else was out with the Stars last night? It was Drake, who was in the building in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
As the Thunder
That's an
hosted
interesting
the
choice.
Rockets, right? Houston came out with the win, and now they've won 4 in a row. Miss Houston getting excited following a 15-game losing streak. So I'm going to go back to you, Chanae. Is this a blip?
Oh, why are you going to do this to me?
Is this a trend?
Winning for the Rockets?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a trend. You know,
Okay.
it really is a trend.
Perk,
They have had
you
up
agree?
there the pace, you know, finally the
I mean, all I will say is that they 4-0 without Jalen Green.
All right, and the
Whoa.
Heat, they got
Whoa.
blown
Ain't
out at
there.
home
I'm
by the Cavs. So Cleveland's entered this game losing their last 20 games in Miami. But they were able to hold on and keep the Heat to just 85 points. That's without Bam Adebayo. He and Tyler Hero spoke after the game.
It's rough. This is my first major injury in my NBA career, so definitely one of those things where didn't expect that. It was a downer, but for the 6 weeks, can't change nothing about it. That was my only option.
Hopefully Bam gets speedy recovery. You know, good luck with the surgery, but just hopefully, you know, it's always next man up. You know, it's always been our motto, you know, since I've been here, and you know, we'll need guys to step up.
So the Heat will definitely miss Bam defensively the most. When he's been on the court, the Heat's defensive efficiency is 4 points better than when he's off the floor. And Miami's defense with Bam would rank second in the league, but it drops all the way to 15th when he is not playing. So joining me now to dive into the defensive loss of Bam Adebayo is senior writer, host of the Low Post podcast, Zach Lowe. So you've been on the Bam wagon since day one. What's the significance of this loss for Miami? Beep, beep.
It's huge. It's huge. Depth was the obvious issue for the Heat going into the season. Their rotation collapses into pretty big unknowns after guys number 7 and 8. Markieff Morris hasn't played since Nikola Jokic decked him on an all-time cheap shot. They're still missing him. Look, the Heat are built for the playoffs. They have a real chance to make the finals if they have their whole team intact. Their only goal really is just don't slip into the play-in tournament. And I said before the season, they are one injury away from being in danger of slipping into the play-in tournament. This is the injury. This is a really tough injury for them to withstand. Dwayne Dedmon is a nice backup. They'll start him. They'll play Tucker at center sometimes, Markieff if he comes back. But this is a really thin team. Jimmy Butler's missed games. He's out right now. Kyle Lowry's missed games. Tyler Hero's missed games. They're going to have to fight and scrap in the East. I mean, Perk just mentioned the Hawks. The Hawks are like 10th in the East. If Cleveland is staying up, if they're for real, if the Bulls are for real, if the Wizards are for real, it's not a lock that Miami stays in that top 6 if they suffer a big injury. And this is a big, big injury.
So Zach, defensively, we know that Bam Adebayo is a juggernaut within himself, but he also accounts for so much of what they do offensively. How do they make up for it on that end of the floor?
They're going to need more from Jimmy Butler. They're going to need more from Kyle Lowry, who has really been a distant kind of fourth option with this team. They're going to need him to become Toronto Kyle Lowry again. And Duncan Robinson, who just got this huge contract, is shooting 29% from 3. That's his only job, is to make threes. He'll start making more shots. But the Duncan Robinson-Bam two-man game, it's a beautiful two-man game. Duncan bobs back and forth. They do handoffs, fake handoffs. It gets the Heat into a lot of their best stuff. Without Bam's passing as the hub at the elbow, it's going to be really interesting to see how they adjust. They just need their best players, and that's now Butler, Lowry, Hero to give them more every single night.
Absolutely. And to remind our viewers, Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that Bam Adebayo, the timeline there is going to be 4 to 6 weeks. So we will see if Miami can stay afloat just enough for him to come back so they can stay at the top of the top. And speaking of the top, that is coming up on NBA Today from Wednesday's action. Keep it locked. All right. Guys, 28 of 30 teams are officially a quarter through their schedule. So let's hand out some quarter season awards.
Yeah.
You know where we got to start. It's MVP. MVP, we have Steph Curry as the favorite according to Caesar Sportsbook. So, Zach Lowe, do you agree?
With apologies to Giannis, KD, Nikola Jokic, and the fan who puked courtside in Sacramento the day before they fired Luke Walton. Steph Curry is the MVP. On to the next one.
Perk.
I got to agree with Zach, but I will say that Giannis is on his heels like a pair of socks right now, okay? But I got Steph as my MVP right now.
Janae.
Co-sign, retweet, Chef Curry's world.
Cosign, retweet, move on. Next up is most improved. So, Zach, who you got?
It's early for this one. I consider a lot of candidates: DeJounte Murray, Desmond Bane, even some of the Bulls veterans, but I'm going Miles Bridges, averaging 20 a game, still shooting 55 on twos. His three has declined, but to go from 12 to 20 a game on a good team, that's a huge jump. So early, I'll go him.
Miles Bridges. All right, solid, interesting. Perk.
Oh, you know who I'm going with.
Yeah.
Ja Morant.
Okay.
Grit and grind, averaging almost 25 points a night, dishing out almost 7 assists, and right now the Grizzlies are in the playoffs, okay?
All right.
Give me Ja Morant. Yeah, I said it.
And speaking of the playoffs, I did love your take on Ja Morant, but I kind of like Jordan Poole going from 12 points per game to 19 points per game. Again, this is a team with the best record right now, along with the Phoenix Suns. So Jordan Poole, I mean, stepping into where you expected Clay hopefully to be back soon.
Area bias.
First of all, what you talking about, bro? I went to Stanford, so it's okay.
We're calling Stanford the Bay now.
Girl,
we're going to get into that later. We're going to get into that later. This is the clip I'm going to keep because someone's going to be right and two people are going to be wrong. All right, so the next award is Rookie of the Year. Evan Mobley is the favorite according to Caesars. So, Zach, are you going with Caesars on this one?
Evan Mobley, baby. I can't even talk about Evan Mobley. I'm so excited. Just beats out Scotty Barnes, who's been amazing on both ends of the floor in Toronto. But Evan Mobley is a star right now, period. Rookie of the Year.
That's why you got a haircut. It was for Evan Mobley. It was to talk about him, Perk.
Oh, it's all the way Evan Mobley. Look, and let me add a little bit more to that, Zach. Evan Mobley is top 10s in blocks overall in the NBA, and he impacts winning. Since he's been back off of injury, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 3-0.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are 3-0, Janae.
You heard what I said.
He said what he said, and I'm not correcting him today.
What he said. Ever since I went to Mississauga in Canada, I have loved the Toronto Raptors extension, and I'm Team Scotty Barnes here, y'all. What he's been able to do, leading rookies in minutes, scoring, and rebounding, 15 and 8, his energy, his enthusiasm, and his just ability to just be lovable.
All about Scotty Barnes.
I've been all about Scotty Barnes, okay, but I do love Evan Mobley as well. So, but my take here is right now.
I love Janae. She subtly tries to choose 6 players. All right, Zach, we're going to be decisive on this one. The last one is Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond is the current favorite. Is it Draymond, Zach Lowe?
It's Draymond. Draymond is still the smartest and best all-around defender in the NBA. Rudy Gobert is going to be in the mix. Giannis is going to be in the mix. And I'll tell you who's nipping on everyone's heels. Mikal Bridges in Phoenix, who just got done decimating the Warriors and hounding Steph Curry the other night. Mikal Bridges and his long arms, they deserve a look here too, but it's Draymond still.
Is it Draymond, Perk?
No, it's not Draymond. It's not Draymond. It's not Rudy Gobert. Guess who it is? It's Alex Caruso and what he's doing right now, leading the league in steals, right? And holding opponents to under 40% shooting. And look, the Chicago Bulls are a top 10 team defensively in every category. Guess what team Alex Caruso was on last year? The Lakers. Guess what the Lakers rank right now defensively? 28, the impact. I'm going with the headband.
We got Draymond, we got the headband, we got Janae's pick.
I know it may not be the super sexy one because he's done it so many times, but I like Rudy Gobert. Just factually, his impact is crazy. First in rebounds a game, 4th in blocks, 1st in defensive field goal attempts, which means everyone he guards can't get buckets better than anyone else in the league. So yeah, the Caruso stat, Rudy Gobert does that just a little bit better, a lot better. So yeah, I do like Rudy, even though I know there's probably going to be a fatigue voting for him in this category.
Can we, at one point, can we have a guard win the Defensive Player of the Year?
Zach's shaking his head like, nah, we can't.
That's
do
for
that.
us. Why are you advocating for that?
Rudy's great. No, Rudy's great. Rudy's amazing. But if we vote for Draymond Green, it's not because of Rudy Gobert fatigue. It's because Draymond Green is unbelievable. And in a playoff series, where you got to be able to defend every single style and all kinds of players. That dude can defend everybody in any scheme.
Zach. And then guess what? When Vucevic went out, they moved Alex Caruso to the 4 and 5, and he maintained.
I do like Draymond too, though.
Well, whatever.
Draymond's up there with me.
It has been impressive what the Warriors have done. We've had some impressive picks, but you know what's like really impressive? Potentially the most impressive team in the NBA right now? It's the Phoenix Suns because they have won 17 straight. But are they going to make it 18 tonight against the Pistons?
Yep.
What do you guys think?
Say yup.
Ramona Shelburne joins us to discuss that and
We need
much
to break
more.
it down. You crazy Perk.
Welcome back to NBA Today.
We close out the month of November with a star-studded showdown.
Say go. You looking at the great with the say so.
Devin Booker left hamstring injury. He will not return to this game.
Shoot your shot. Say go. We already got what we prayed for. Looking at you, watch what you wait for.
Mikal Bridges just taking Stephen Curry right out of it. They tie a franchise record. 17 consecutive wins.
Welcome back. So the Suns, they look to extend their winning streak tonight against the Pistons, and I know they don't want to look too far ahead, but we can because the Suns are going to play the Warriors on ESPN now on Friday night, and I'm joined again by Ramona Shelburne to discuss that 17-game win streak, see if they can extend it. And Cam Johnson, he actually spoke about the streak earlier today. Take a listen.
I mean, I feel like every win we come by is a big deal. It's a lot of fun. That's the main point. This whole stretch has been fun. You know, the season has been fun. And it's just, you can see the camaraderie growing. You can see guys really starting to gel. And I mean, this is that excitement. Like when we're running back to the locker room, it's tangible. You know, it's tangible. The excitement in the locker room, the excitement on the court after the game. And that feeling is a little addictive, you know, and you want to chase that. You want to keep having that.
That feeling is addictive. All right, Ramona. So what is the Suns' confidence level without Devin Booker tonight?
Well, remember, he got hurt in the second quarter of that Warriors game, so they've played without him and won without him. But I think, with against Detroit, look, this is a game they should have. This is where you rely on your system and what everybody else has been doing. Devin Booker's going to be out for this game against Detroit. He's likely going to miss the game against Golden State. I don't have any expectation he's going to play in that one because they're being careful with that hamstring.
Right.
They just have an incredible camaraderie and a swagger right now. And I think some of this, Malika, really is just a carryover from the last couple of seasons as they've been building. But this team, they genuinely love playing with each other. They go to each other's events. They have dinners on the road. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but it's reminding me of the Warriors from 2015 when they won those 24 in a row. And they're having, I wrote so many stories about the dinners on the road and all the camaraderie. That's what they have right now. So yes, they missed Devin Booker, but they have an entire camaraderie and team that's been built over the last couple of years.
Well, and Devin Booker is, even if he doesn't play, he's going to be in Golden State on Friday, still with the team. We hear the stories about Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They go, watch film together after games, that type of thing. But they still have a game to play tonight and not look ahead to the Warriors with the Pistons coming into town because these are the sneaky games that can kind of creep up on you. So what's their mindset heading into this back-to-back?
Well, I think you rely on what got you these 17 wins, which is the defensive system where everybody knows their roles. And the tone that has been set by Devin Booker, by Chris Paul, where they don't take games off. Like these guys, if somebody's slacking here, if somebody's not bringing it tonight, Chris Paul's going to let him know. And Devin Booker's going to let him know because he's going to be there. And I think this is where, you add Landry, you add JaVale to that second unit. This is where you rely more on that second unit in this game. Not like you're saving up for the Warriors game, but this is where everybody having an identity on this team and having a good sense of what their role and expectations are, this is where that comes into play when you don't have a guy like Devin Booker.
Well, and Chris Paul's role has been in the clutch, and it has been exceptional. Thank you so much, Ramona. I think that we can probably bet that there's going to be some kind of deadbolt lock in this game. Is that right, Perk?
There's a lot of deadbolt locks. Pass me the mic, Malika, so I can wreck it. Shanae, you ready to make some letters on Monday Ballers? Let's bring in our friend Tyler real quick so he can bring. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, Ty?
What's happening? Are you rubbing your hands?
Shanae?
You rubbing your hands? Your palms must be itching. Come on, you got to give it to us. You got to tell us.
All right,
what's
let's
happening.
start with this. Let's start with this matchup as Ramona and Malik were kind of talking about. The spread's a little big because they do play tomorrow night in Golden State. So I don't think they're going to lose this game, but I'm going to stay away from that spread and attack the total, specifically Detroit's team total of 97.5. I'm going under that. We've just been hearing from Zach. We've been hearing from Ramona about how great Mikal Bridges and this defense is. Even without Devin Booker, I think they suffocate a Detroit offense that is 30th in the NBA, dead last in defensive rating. They are, or in offensive rating, I should say. They're second in defensive rating. It's like trying to bring the ball up court against Mikal Bridges and the Suns, like Big Perk trying to get into RJ's passenger seat of his car. You saw that on Twitter,
Why
man.
you got to bring up old stuff, Tyler?
Uncomfortable.
Why you got to bring up old stuff?
How do you guys feel about that, though?
I like it.